Good morning, everyone. It's actually afternoon for me, and it's actually on a Thursday for me, but nonetheless, good morning. I'm not working today, so I recorded this video a day early. Hey, I think we recorded a video of this exact place 2 days ago. Didn't we see this on Wednesday? I think we saw this on Wednesday. We should be approaching Moy Lake here very shortly. Just in case you didn't see yesterday's video, right now I'm running empty from Sparwood to Castlegar. I'm getting loaded there and I'm headed home. On Sunday evening we're gonna leave Penticton home and head into Lacombe, Alberta to unload there Monday morning. To me is very confusing, but I guess when your economy kind of takes a dump, our loads are kind of limited. We have a contract at Klesnikoff in Castlegar, so we have guaranteed loads leaving Castlegar, but it seems I'm doing more and more miles of empty running, which means the company's not making as much money, not nearly as much money. I'm making less money. I'm getting paid empty. I get paid less running empty, but I still get paid running empty miles. Moy Lake. I believe on Wednesday it was very sunny here and you guys were getting blinded. Today, not so much. It's pretty rainy, pretty stormy. It's still beautiful. Oh, those bumps. Oh, those bumps. You guys are lucky. You guys have a stabilized camera. You guys don't get to feel all these back-breaking bumps I get to enjoy. Having said it, it's not as bad as the old days because these trucks have air ride suspensions instead of spring suspensions. The cab itself sits on airbags and my seat has an airbag in it, so a lot of the impacts get absorbed by all these airbags. It's also important to make sure you sit properly when driving as well, so if you start slouching and stuff, you're gonna have some back issues. So I've got my seat always set up pretty darn straight. Other people don't like the way I sit because I sit very right side up. I sit very close to the proper sitting position. I don't do a lot of slouching, and I've made it comfortable for me. At first when I did it, it was very uncomfortable, but eventually you get used to it, and it's actually I find any other position uncomfortable now. I don't really have a lot to talk about because I've talked about everything we're doing on yesterday's video. Historic Moy, established 1893. Must have been established by coming up the river from the US. Before the borders were drawn in a neat line. Pretty good here. Roadkill. As all the wildlife is coming out in spring, you see more roadkill on the road, unfortunately. Can't do much about it. Train. It's got 2 engines up front. Canadian Pacific 8819 and 8639. That sign say leased RV lots for sale. Looks like they pulled over and putting their rain gear on. sudden we're in bright sunshine again. More roadkill, look like Bambi. Poor Bambi. I've been driving for 2.5 years. I don't know if I said this already or not. I've hit 2 deer. Next week, I did find the GoPro mounts. Next week I'll get those mounted in the proper place. I'm just trying to pay attention to where the wipers are, where the washer fluid is. I really don't want to stick the mount onto the windshield until we hit a area where there's lots of bugs and I need to use the washer fluid to clean off the window, see where it cleans off the window the best. And I'll place the camera in that location. That way, you guys don't need to see as many bugs, right? Hopefully somebody appreciates that. Anyway, I'll catch you guys further down along the road. Up on Preston. You guys want me to drive through town or go around? There are more votes to go through town. Okay, we'll go through town then. Honestly, it doesn't make a big difference. If both directions are exactly the same, like as far as traffic goes, going around town is maybe 2 minutes faster. If I get all the red traffic lights, well then it's 5 to 10 minutes faster, or slower, faster going on the bypass. But you guys voted to go through town, so we'll go through town. It's actually a beautiful, like a historic, small town feel to it. Nice downtown. This is actually Ericsson over here. So the first town here is actually Ericsson, and then somewhere it turns into Creston. I don't know exactly where the 2 towns border is, but but that's not what's going on here. Seems to have changed its mind. It's raining quite a bit towards Kootenai Pass too. Got to remember that schools are back in again, so I got to watch the school zones. They're only partially back in, but there are kids at school, so. Cozy RV park, heated pool. Squeak. Should be a sign coming up that we're entering Creston. So I don't know where the city limits are, but I bet you it's right where the 50-kilometer sign is. That might be where the dividing line is between. Right now I think we're in Creston. I like how the trees are squared off because all those semis keep hitting them. Trees are overhanging the road. Anytime there's a branch overhanging, we'll knock it off. It's rare that I hit the trees except for small roads where not as many big rigs go along. There's too many wide loads that come through. Those are usually the ones that trim the trees the best. Wide loads are always scratching trees. This is the reason why I avoid going through town, because of how narrow this gets here. It's a high pedestrian area, so you always have to watch for people popping in and out of doors. There's a busker there, had been playing his guitar. Yeah, it's a nice little town. I like it. I got to reset here once. That was kind of fun. Going through all the shops here downtown. A lot of these places have basements too. There's a great toy store, game board store type of thing in one of the basements. That was really cool to go through. Board games? Yeah, board games and stuff like that. You see how square all these trees are? Right along the side of it. And of course the newer part of town is this direction. If you're ever coming through town looking for some good fish and chips or good chicken, highly recommend. If you're a big rig, you can pull right over here on the shoulder, stop right here on the shoulder, fish and chips right here. Tim's Fish and Chips. Oh, he's pumping his fist. I'll give him a little toot. I do
700 meters, turn left on Highway 3.
I do like the center turning lanes. It's nice to get on and off the road that way. Scheduled change for the ferry. Oh, good thing we're not taking the ferry. That was a Peterbilt dealership.
Turn left on Highway 3.
Here they got a nice wide road and then no parking signs all the way along. it's still 60 here. Stop speeding. Stop speeding. It's one of those places I've done that quite often. Now I can go up to 80. Now I can go to 100. Of course, we have to slow down to 30 up ahead. Coasting in. Yeah, the bridge is under construction, probably all summer long. We hit 30 just as we got to the sign. Pretty cool. I got a green light right now. Doubt it'll be a green light by the time I get there. Yep, there's the yellow light. Now we get to wait. The short green lights, long red lights. And the road looks really soapy. Always a good sign. If you're ever driving on a road and the road looks soapy, it means it's slippery. It means it's the first rain they've had in a while, and all that grease, all those cars dripping a little bit of oil here, a little bit there, all the big rigs dropping a little, all of that accumulates on the road, and then when it rains it turns into this soapy mix, and it actually is very slippery. So if you ever see the soapy look, just remember, the road might be slippery. So this truck has Eaton's transmission in it, and very interestingly, just noticing it, it's adjusting what gear I start in all over the place, but this is the first time I've seen it at 6th gear to start at. Would that be in a manual transmission? Low would be 2nd gear, 1st is 3rd, 1st high is 4, 5, so it'd be 2nd gear high, or over. So it's second over, it's starting in. I'm gonna let it do it just to see what it feels like, but it seems like a fairly high gear to be starting in. My other truck would just always start in third gear unless I manually changed it each and every time. Let's see what this feels like when I get going. I did put the power divider lock on. Seems like no problem at all. Only pushing the throttle about quarter way in. Oh, it's still 30 in here, right? So it's not to 40. Although the cars behind me don't like it that I'm going that slow. Alright, out of the construction zone, let's get back up. It's warning me at 60 kilometers already that I have the diff axle locked. But it shouldn't matter. Well, the power divider locked. It's calling it the inner axle diff lock. Because as a rule, you should be able to leave that on no matter what speed you're going. Just leave it on if you wanted to. Now, actually locking the diffs, that is not recommended. The way I always looked at it is the power divider gives power to both of the axles in the rear. It doesn't matter if that's on. I'll click it off now, but I should be able to turn that on right now, but it's probably going to bing at me and say it's not available. Yeah. That I should be able to turn on right now. I don't like the way that that's programmed in here. And the power divider lock, if you lock those up and go down around a corner, you're going to end up in the ditch upside down. So leaving your power divider, or the diff, power divider can be on all the time. The diff locks, you don't want to be using those over 50 kilometers per hour. Last truck that Kenworth, I could engage the diff locks at full speed, 100 kilometers per hour. I could click on the diff locks and they'd just turn on, which is extremely dangerous. Because when I hit that first corner, it might not be making the corner. I honestly would like the ability to turn the diff locks on at 60 kilometers per hour. That way, when I'm climbing one of the big steep hills, Kootenai Pass, while I still have momentum, I can click it on. But it won't let me click it on until I'm below 40 kilometers. And here on the Kootenai Pass and the Paulson, that means I've already spun out. So we'll see if the boss is willing to change the programming in here so I can do that. I've requested it. I'm going to be spinning out a lot more in the winter if they don't change it. Whitney Pass now. Get loaded on the other side and then see if I can make it home tonight. I think I should be able to get home tonight. Should make decent time up this pass empty with the extra horses underneath this hood. This is the first time I'm loading a load with this truck, so I'm hoping I've done the math right from my last load and I know what PSI I can go to on that gauge. Because if I get it wrong, I'll be overweight. Oh, I'm gonna go through the Castlegar scale and weigh myself empty. If they're open or closed, I'm going to weigh myself empty just so I know what my empty weight is. Because sometimes chippers like to know that. They ask me what's my empty weight. That way they know how much to load onto me. Usually in the US they ask that, so I'm going to get that while I'm in Castlegar. I'll get my empty weight. See how heavy this truck is compared to the other trucks I've driven. Who doesn't enjoy some lens flare? Okay, I'm loaded, but I am short of making it home tonight just by, let me do the math. 35 minutes. I'm 35 minutes short of making it home today. So, we're going to find out how Isaacs treats deferred hours. Would I be allowed to defer my 2 hours and make it home today? We're going to find out. Because it's going to be beyond my 16 hours. Different people have explained it differently to me. That's a question I've never asked a CVSE officer. But the way I read the rules is, even though you've done your 16-hour shift, you can take an additional 2 hours off, work an additional 2 hours, but then instead of having to do an 8-hour reset tonight, I would have to do a 10-hour reset. And if it's my weekend reset, instead of 36-hour reset, it has to be a 38-hour reset. Even if I end up working for my shift hours from when I start the shift till end the shift, even if that'd be 18 hour in the shift. It's the way I read it. I had the one Qualcomm that wouldn't let me go beyond the 16 hours, but the other older Qualcomm would let me go beyond the 16 hours, but not beyond the maximum 70 hours in the week. And that makes sense. You have to stay within your 70 hours in the week, but we're going to test it out today, that's for sure. And if that doesn't work, if I am within 70 kilometers of home, I'm dropping my trailers and then bobtailing the 70 kilometers of personal conveyance. Once again, some people say you can't do that outside of your 16-hour shift. So, guess if one doesn't work, the other might not work as well. I'll find out. Did I say where we were? We're climbing the Paulson. This is a section of highway I usually skip recording because it's slow and painful. I often record the first part of the climb and then stop recording because I don't want you guys to have to suffer through this section. I mean, I have recorded it. It's a section of highway I drive so often, so I don't think there's a single inch of this highway that I haven't shown you guys, but I called Jess in Castlegar and I let her know that if the truck is still moving at 9:45, she can look on Spot to see if I'm still driving. If I'm still driving at 9:45, just in case I have no cell service and I can't communicate with her, after 9:45, if the truck's still moving, it means I was able to defer hours and I'm coming home. The truck has stopped at 9:45 and no longer moving, it means I can't make it home. That way she's got an idea if I'm coming home tonight or first thing tomorrow morning. With the extra power here, I'm climbing a little quicker than I normally would, so that'll be our advantage. Still not enough to make up the 35, whatever I said, minutes of drive time. And I'm losing time right now according to my GPS because I'm driving slower than my average speed right now. When I'm fully loaded running in the mountains, I have the GPS thinking that my maximum average speed is 75 kilometers per hour, something like that. 75, 78 kilometers per hour in there. I've kind of fine-tuned where the average speed is when I'm running these highways, and I programmed it so that I programmed 3 different loads in there. So I've got fully loaded running in the mountains basically set that I have right now. I have another fully loaded US legal load in the mountains, and then I have a empty or running in the flatland. So 3 settings that I set the GPS to depending on which route I'm taking, and that gives me a pretty darn good ETA when I'm going to make it home. Boss is always impressed that he always goes, "You're always there when you say you're going to be there." Like, well, not always. I'm a little bit out, but he says I'm very good at predicting when I'm going to be there. It's like, well, really, the GPS is doing that. I've just taken the time to set 3 different programs, 3 different vehicles I've put in there, and I can choose which vehicle to take. Right now with a max load, we're going to average, and because we're only driving a short section, it doesn't do a very good job averaging out. From Castlegar to Penticton, there are a lot of passes, so it usually takes me longer than my GPS says in this section. But if I were to go from Castlegar to Vancouver, it's pretty darn accurate. 37 minutes short now because I'm losing time, I think. I've only seen one bear this week. Last week was the week of bears, apparently. Deliver this load on Monday afternoon. Hopefully I get a load out of Calgary on Monday. If I had to guess, it might be a load of garden soils and manures and stuff like that, fertilizers. Definitely a bit quicker. Just enough to notice the difference. I would love to have another Super B. Same setup as this truck, except have the Cummins with 30 horsepower less, and just see how much of a difference it actually makes. Excuse me. I bet those of you guys that like following me on Google Maps as I drive along probably can use that GPS as a helpful tool. Next week, if all things go well, on the weekend, I'm not lazy, I should have the camera mounted back on the actual glass, and oh no, I said I was going to wait till I have some smear. There's some bugs on there, but it's like, where does the washer fluid spray the most? Right behind the GPS, really. So I should put the camera right where the GPS is. I might have to move the GPS. Definitely not in the center. In the center, it does a horrible job cleaning in the center there. So, because the center would be way over here, but I think the camera would be best over here. Anywhere it seems in this range over here. Could also go against the A post. There's nothing to stick it to. Basically, exactly the other good spot would be exactly where the camera is now, but closer to the glass. If I put the camera there, I don't want to move the GPS here because that's right in my line of sight. Further down, so maybe the GPS will move a little further that way. We're getting like full power here. You guys are watching the GPS, you'll see Highway Creepy is coming up on our left. Red Mountain Ski Area, 24 kilometers. We're not going skiing. Get the boogie over here. Oh, that means on Monday we're gonna hit speed limits of 120 kilometers per hour, so we'll see if we can bring this truck up all the way to 110. There's no 120 anywhere, is there? Highway 1, no, I think it's all 110 the most. Because I'm used to stopping the throttle all the way down and no, I can't go over 104. That's where we've always been speed limited to. And I was doing that and all of a sudden I'm doing 106, 107, 108. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Wherever the speed limiter it is, wherever it's at, it's higher than I'm used to. So, which isn't a problem. I'm not a speeder, so I don't need a speed limiter to be responsible, but I wouldn't legally be able to drive this truck in Quebec or Ontario until that limiter would be changed. Thought I was done with the blinding sun. Sometimes the blinding sun is just beautiful, the way it casts shadows on the clouds and yeah. I guess the sun doesn't cast shadows on the clouds. The sun casts light onto the clouds. It's like when someone asks you if you saw the thunder, I'm like, heard the thunder. I saw the lightning. And I know this week I didn't do any 2-camera shots, but should be coming back next week. So glad I have that suction cup mount, or else you guys would be stuck with the head mount again all week long. That would have sucked for you guys, because those videos always sucked. And then one time I tried the helmet, put it on top of my helmet. That was the worst video I've ever done. Wondering if I could have stayed in 11th gear there. And the pack car went all the way down to 9th gear. I mean, I'm still going up the mountain slow. I'm doing 29 kilometers here, but in the pack car we're doing 24 kilometers. So it's still slow, but 5 kilometers per hour, that's a difference. Definitely a difference. Exactly 40 minutes from making it home now. So much time I've lost climbing the bolts. I mean, it's not a lot of time I lost, but you're losing time. But once again, I get on the flats, I'll make up time. Oh, downhill, I'll make up a little more time than I did in the pack car, because the engine brakes are so much better in this thing, so I can come down a little quicker. But after Pulson, I have E-Holt to climb over. That'll slow me down. And then I have Anarchist to climb up. And that's another big climb. thinking that it might be a beautiful sunset with all the clouds, but all of a sudden all I see is blue sky. Almost to the top. This guy must be empty. That's the brake check on the way down on the other side, so in the winter, whenever I get past this brake check, I'm like, if you can make it this far, I'm not going to spin out the rest of the way. It gets less steep this way, and I've never spun out past the brake check. I have spun out right at the brake check. It's like so close to the top and you spin out right at the top. That always sucks. The summit. Paulson Summit, but it's not the Paulson Pass. It's the Bonanza Pass. Never heard anyone actually say Bonanza Pass. Also it gets called the Blueberry Pass or the Paulson Blueberry. If you take Highway 3B, the Paulson Strawberry. I don't know, I'm kind of excited for next week. Kind of excited. Well guys, I'm gonna do my brake check here, so once again, thank you so much for all the support you guys show me. Love all the comments and questions. Or no dumb questions, ask me anything. I don't know everything about the trucking industry either, but ask me anything trucking, ask me anything else other than trucking. I don't care what it is. Even if it's something we disagree on, politically or religiously or morally. I don't care if we disagree. We can still be friends. Because the way I see it, I accept everybody. Everybody as they are. We're all different, so we should all accept each other. I'm looking in the mirror and I see one strap is flickering a little bit in the wind, so that looks like it's on the second trailer, one of the first straps. So when I walk around, I'll make sure I pull out the bar and tighten up whatever strap that is. Anyway, thanks again, guys, for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up. And of course, your subscription would always be much, much, much appreciated. You guys rock. And of course, if I see anything else cool and interesting, I'll put in some short clips.